Captain Mark stood tall on the bridge of the Terran Defense Fleet flagship, Thunder, his weathered hands clasped behind his back. The massive view screen before him showed an approaching alien vessel, its dark purple hull gleaming against the backdrop of distant stars. This was humanity's first official meeting with the Starborn, and everything had to go perfectly. "Status report," Mark called out, his deep voice steady despite the tension in the air. "Their ship is maintaining distance at 10,000 kilometers, sir," replied Jack from the sensor station. "Their weapons are powered down, just like ours." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, each person aware of the historic importance of this moment. Humanity had finally found intelligent life among the stars, and after 6 months of careful communication, both species had agreed to a face-to-face meeting. "They're hailing us," announced Beth, her fingers hovering over the communication panel. "Audio and visual." Mark straightened his uniform. "Put them through." The view screen flickered, revealing the alien bridge. The Starborn commanders stood in the center, their silvery skin reflecting the pale blue lights of their ship. Their 4 eyes blinked in an unsettling pattern, and their mouth tendrils twitched as they spoke. "Greetings, Thunder Vessel. I am High Commander Vale of the Starborn Exploration Fleet." The universal translator converted their clicks and whistles into smooth English. "Welcome, High Commander. I am Captain Mark of the Terran Defense Fleet. We are honored to." Mark's words were cut short as warning sirens blared across the Thunder's bridge. Red lights flashed, and Jack's voice rang out in alarm. "Sir," energy spiked from their vessel. "They're powering up weapons." "Shields up," Mark ordered, but it was too late. The first blast struck the Thunder before their defensive screens could fully activate. The bridge shook violently, throwing several crew members from their seats. "They're targeting our engine compartments," Jack shouted over the chaos. "Multiple missile launches detected." Mark grabbed his command chair to steady himself. "Return fire. All batteries. Get those shields online." As the crew scrambled to battle stations, something unexpected happened. It started with Beth at communications. She began to sing, her voice clear and strong. "Thunder rolling through the night. Carry us through darkest fight." One by one, other crew members joined in. It was the March of Thunder, a song they had created during their long months in space. The melody spread across the bridge, then through the ship's corridors via the internal communication system. The Starborn's next transmission crackled through, their voice tendrils quivering with what seemed like confusion. What is this noise? Are your systems malfunctioning?" Mark smiled grimly as he gave orders between verses. The entire bridge crew was singing now, their voices growing stronger with each hit they took and returned. Engineering reported in, their own voices adding to the chorus as they worked to restore full power to the shields. "This is how humans fight," Mark declared to the bewildered aliens. "Fire all forward batteries." The Thunder's guns roared to life, each blast seemingly timed to the rhythm of their song. The crew worked with increased efficiency, their movements synchronized to the familiar melody. What the Starborn saw as a sign of primitive behavior was actually strengthening the human crew's resolve and coordination. "Enemy vessel taking heavy damage," Jack reported between verses. "Their shield harmonics are fluctuating." The battle continued, but something had changed. The initial surprise of the Starborn's betrayal had transformed into fierce determination. The song spread throughout the ship, each department adding their voices to the chorus. Even the medical bay, treating the first wounded, sang as they worked. Mark watched as his crew, united in both voice and purpose, fought back against the alien threat. The Starborn had clearly expected an easy victory over what they saw as an emotional primitive species. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't understand: the human spirit, expressed through the age-old tradition of battle songs. As the Thunder's engines hummed and its guns blazed, the crew's voices rose even louder, carrying their defiance into the cold void of space. High Commander Vale paced in front of the massive display screen in the Starbound High Council chamber. The silver-skinned aliens' four eyes blinked rapidly as they prepared to give their report. Around them, 12 council members sat in elevated chairs, their mouth tendrils twitching with impatience. "Explain again," demanded the head council member, "about these sound patterns during combat." Vale activated a holographic recording from the battle with the thunder. The room filled with the sound of human voices singing in unison during the fight. Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "As you can hear," Vale said, "the humans began making these organized sounds when our attack started. At first, we thought their communication systems were damaged, but our analysis shows this was intentional. Intentional noise during battle." Another council member's tendrils curled in disgust. How do they expect to fight effectively while wasting energy on such displays? Vale brought up another recording, this one from their historical research team. The grainy footage showed ancient human battles, with warriors beating drums and singing as they charge. Another clip showed soldiers in trenches singing together during rest periods. A third showed modern military units running in formation, their voices joined in rhythmic chants. "This behavior appears to be deeply embedded in human military tradition," Vale explained. "They call it singing and music. What's more troubling is that our combat data shows their efficiency actually increased during these vocal displays." The council chamber erupted in confused clicks and whistles. Vale waited for the noise to settle before continuing. They'd brought up the battle statistics from the thunder encounter. After the humans began their sonic ritual, their reaction times improved by 23%. Their hit accuracy increased by 18%. Most surprisingly, their pain tolerance appeared to increase by nearly 40%. "Impossible," declared one of the younger council members. "Such primitive behavior cannot provide tactical advantages." Vale played another recording, this one from inside the Thunder's medical bay during the battle. The human medical staff worked on injured crew members while singing, their patients joining in despite their wounds. The council watched in silence as the humans displayed what should have been impossible, coordinated medical procedures while producing organized sound patterns. "Our scientists are deeply concerned," Vale continued. "We've discovered thousands of these songs in human historical records. They have specific sounds for different types of battle situations. Some are meant to intimidate enemies, others to coordinate movements, and still others to maintain group cohesion during long conflicts." A senior council member leaned forward. "Have we intercepted any more human ships since the thunder encounter?" "Yes," Vale replied, bringing up new footage. 3 more battles, and each human crew exhibited the same behavior. Different songs, but the same impact on their combat effectiveness. What's more disturbing is that they appear to be creating new songs about their victories over us." The head council member's tendrils writhed in agitation. "This makes no logical sense. How can emotional displays improve combat performance? It goes against everything we understand about warfare." Vale hesitated before playing their final recording. It showed a human prisoner they had captured briefly during the last battle. The human sat in their cell, singing quietly what they called a home song. 2 young Starbound guards could be seen watching with obvious fascination, their head tendrils swaying slightly in rhythm with the human's voice. "There's something else," Vale said quietly. "Some of our younger crew members are showing dangerous interest in this human behavior. I've caught several attempting to replicate these sound patterns when they think no one is watching." The council chamber fell silent. The implications were clear. Not only were the humans more formidable than expected, but their strange combat rituals might be influencing Starbound minds. "We must understand this," the head council member finally declared. "Study everything about these human battle songs. If we cannot comprehend this weapon, we cannot defeat it." Vale nodded, but privately they wondered if there wasn't something more to human singing than just tactical advantage. The memory of that prisoner's song lingered in their mind, stirring feelings they didn't quite understand. Dr. Tom sat across from the captured Starbound officer in the Thunder's secure conference room. The alien's silver skin reflected the soft lighting, and all four of its eyes were fixed on the human scientist. Two armed guards stood by the door, humming quietly to themselves. "Your people find our singing strange," Tom said, placing a tablet on the table between them. "But it's as natural to us as breathing." The starborn officer, who had introduced himself as Lid Scout Ray, tilted his head. His mouth tendrils twitched as he spoke through the translator. "It makes no sense. Battle requires focus, not noise." Tom smiled and played a video on his tablet. It showed ancient human warriors performing a war dance, their feet stamping in unison as they chanted. "Look at their movements," he said. "What do you notice?" Ray's eyes blinked in sequence. "They move, together, like one unit." "Exactly," Tom nodded, switching to another video of modern soldiers running in formation. Their voices rang out in a steady cadence. "Singing helps us synchronize. When we move together, we fight better together." The starborn leaned closer to the screen, his tendrils moving in an unconscious pattern matching the soldier's rhythm. "But why waste energy on sound production during combat?" Tom pulled up brain scan images on his tablet. "These are human brains in battle. The left shows a soldier fighting in silence. The right shows one fighting while singing with their unit." He pointed to the different colored areas. "See how the fear centers are less active in the singing brain, how the pain response is reduced." Ray's tendrils curled in surprise. "You use sound to control fear." "Not just fear," Tom explained. "Singing releases chemicals in our brains. Good chemicals. They help us fight pain, stay focused, and feel connected to our fellow soldiers." He paused, watching the starborn process this information. "When humans sing together, we become stronger together." A distant boom shook the room slightly. Another battle was raging somewhere in the ship. Instead of panic, the two guards by the door began singing softly, their voices joining in a calming melody that had spread through the crew during long space voyages. Ray's eyes darted between the guards. "They sing even now." "Especially now," Tom said. "Listen to the words." The guard's song spoke of home, of stars guiding their way back, of standing together against the darkness. Even through the translator, Ray could sense the power in the lyrics. "We've been singing in battle for thousands of years," Tom continued, showing more historical footage. "Vikings rowing their ships to war. Soldiers in trenches keeping their spirits up. Resistance fighters remembering their cause. Every human culture has battle songs." The ship shook again, and more voices could be heard through the walls, the crew singing together as they fought. Ray's tendrils began moving in rhythm again, and this time he didn't try to stop them. "Your young ones," Tom said gently. "They're curious about our songs, aren't they?" Ray's tendrils froze. "How did you know?" "Because music isn't just a weapon or a tool," Tom explained. "It's a bridge. It connects us, helps us share feelings, experiences, hopes." He leaned forward. "Your people think emotions make us weak, but emotions are what make us fight harder, last longer, stand stronger." Another explosion rocked the ship. The battle song from the corridor grew louder, dozens of voices joining together. To Ray's surprise, he found himself wanting to join in, to be part of that unified strength. "You see," Tom smiled, noticing the starborn's reaction. "Even now, you feel it, the pull of the song, the desire to be part of something bigger than yourself." He stood up, walking to the door. "That's why we sing in battle, Ray. Not because we're primitive, but because we've discovered a truth your people have forgotten. We are stronger together than alone, and music helps us remember that." As if to prove his point, the Thunder's engines hummed in harmony with the crew's song, carrying their united voice through the depths of space, a testament to humanity's unique way of facing adversity. The space around Jupiter's moons lit up with weapons fire as 50 human ships faced off against the starborn armada. At the center of the human fleet, the Thunder led the charge, its hull bearing scars from previous battles. "Enemy ships in attack formation," Jack called out from his sensor station. They're trying to split our fleet into smaller groups. Captain Mark stood at the center of the Thunder's bridge, watching the tactical display. The Starborn's silver ships moved with mechanical precision, their formation perfect and logical. But Mark had a different plan in mind. All ships, he commanded, activate the synchronized combat system. A small smile crossed his face. Time to show them how humans really fight together. Across the human fleet, speakers crackled to life. The March of Thunder began playing, its rhythm matching the pulse of the ship's engines. But this time, it wasn't just one crew singing. It was 50. Fleet is since to battle rhythm, sir, Beth reported from communications. All ships reporting ready. The Starborn commander's voice cut through the radio channels. Your sound rituals will not save you this time, humans. We have studied your tactics. Then study this, Mark replied. All ships, battle symphony pattern 1. Begin. The human fleet suddenly broke formation, but not in chaos. Moving to the beat of their shared song, they split into 3 groups. The ship's movements matched the music's rhythm perfectly, their maneuvers timed to each verse. As the chorus swelled, the first group of ships dove down relative to the Starborn fleet, their weapons firing in perfect time with the music. The second group swept up, their shots creating a crossfire. The third group, led by the Thunder, charged straight ahead. They're confused by our pattern, Jack reported excitedly. Their formation is breaking. The Starborn ships tried to adjust, but their logical, mathematical approach couldn't predict the humans' musically timed movements. Each verse of the song signaled a new maneuver. Each chorus brought a coordinated strike. Second verse, Mark called out. Show them what Earth's finest can do. The fleet moved again, this time spiraling around the Starborn ships in an elaborate dance. Weapons fire lit up space in time with the music, creating what looked like a deadly light show. The human crews sang louder, their voices carried through space by their ship's communication systems. In the Starborn command ship, High Commander Vale watched in disbelief. How were they coordinating so perfectly? Their movements make no tactical sense, yet. Sir, a Starborn officer interrupted. We've lost 15 ships. Their hit ratio is impossibly high. Vale's tendrils twisted in frustration. The humans weren't just singing now. They were using the music to time their attacks, to move their ships in ways that Starborn computers couldn't predict. It wasn't logical. It wasn't rational. But it was working. Back on the Thunder, Mark ordered the final phase. All ships, prepare for the final. The battle song reached its final verse. 50 human ships, moving as one, executed a complex spiral pattern that brought them through the gaps in the Starborn formation. Their weapons fired in perfect sync with the music's crescendo. Direct hits across their fleet, Jack shouted over the singing. Their command ship's shields are failing. The Starborn fleet began to retreat, their perfect formation shattered by the humans' musical battle strategy. As they fled, the human crew's voices rose in victory, the song changing to one of triumph. Let them go, Mark ordered, his crew still singing around him. Let them tell others what they saw here today. As the Starborn ships disappeared into the darkness of space, the human fleet regrouped, their crew's voices joining in a final chorus. They had proven something extraordinary, that humanity's greatest strength wasn't just their technology or their tactics, but their ability to turn their love of music into a weapon of war. The stars themselves seemed to twinkle in time with their victory song, as if the universe was acknowledging this uniquely human way of fighting. In the end, it wasn't just a battle they had won, but a demonstration of humanity's special gift, the power to find rhythm even in chaos, and strength in their unity. Deep within the Starborn ship Eternal Logic, 3 young crew members huddled around a stolen data pad in a quiet maintenance room. Their silver skin glowed faintly in the dim light as they listened to captured recordings of human battle songs. "Play it again," whispered First Scout Dan, his tendrils moving slightly to the rhythm of the Thunder's crew singing. "I want to understand how they coordinate their voices." Second Scout Alex adjusted the volume, keeping it low enough to avoid detection. "Look at how their brain patterns change when they sing together," she said, pointing to the medical data they had secretly copied. "It's like they become one mind." The third Starborn, Engineer Pat, was trying to copy the human's vocal patterns. His mouth tendrils vibrated, producing a rough approximation of the melody. The other two stopped to watch in amazement. "You're getting better at it," Dan said excitedly. "It almost sounds like—" The door slid open with a soft hiss. The three young Starborn froze as Commander Vale stepped into the room. They quickly tried to hide the datapad, but Vale had already seen it. "So," Vale said, walking closer, "you are the ones accessing the restricted human audio files." The young crew members lowered their head tendrils in shame, expecting severe punishment. But Vale surprised them by sitting down and asking, "What have you learned?" After a moment of shocked silence, Alex spoke up. "The humans, they use these songs for more than just battle. They sing about their homes, their hopes, their fears. It helps them stay strong." Vale nodded slowly. "Show me." Pat hesitantly played a recording of human prisoners singing in their cells. The song was about Earth's blue oceans and green forests, about families waiting for their return. Vale's tendrils began to move unconsciously with the melody. "We found something else," Dan said, growing braver. He showed Vale a comparison of human and Starborn brain scans. When humans sing together, their brains sync up. They think better, fight better, heal better. "We thought, maybe we could learn from this." Vale was quiet for a long moment. "The High Council believes these human sound patterns are a threat to our way of life, that they will make us weak, emotional, primitive." Vale paused, then added softly, "But I have been watching the humans too." The commander reached out and took the datapad, scrolling through the young Starborn's research. "You've been analyzing their songs, categorizing them, studying their effects. Please don't report us," Alex pleaded. "We just wanted to understand." Vale's four eyes blinked in sequence. "Did you know that before the Great Logic Purge, our ancestors also made organized sound patterns? The records were destroyed, but some stories remain." The three young crew members stared in surprise. This was not taught in their history lessons. "Perhaps," Vale continued, "there is something we lost when we rejected all emotion as weakness. The humans' victory in the Jupiter battle proved that their methods, while different from ours, are effective." Pat's tendrils quivered with excitement. "Commander, we've been practicing. Would you like to hear?" Vale looked at the door, then back at the eager young faces. "Show me." The three young Starborn began to vibrate their tendrils in harmony, creating a sound that was not quite human singing, but something uniquely their own. It was rough and unpracticed, but it carried a beauty that had been lost to their species for generations. As Vale listened, something stirred in the commander's mind. Ancient memories passed down through countless generations of a time when their people didn't just think and fight, but felt and created. "Keep practicing," Vale said finally. "But be careful who knows. Not everyone is ready to remember what we once were." The commander stood to leave, then turned back. "And teach me what you learn." As Vale left, the young Starborn looked at each other in amazement. They had expected punishment, but instead found understanding. Unknown to them, similar scenes were playing out across the Starborn fleet as more young crew members discovered the power of song. The humans' influence was spreading, awakening something long dormant in the Starborn soul, the need to express, to connect, to feel. It was a quiet revolution, fought not with weapons, but with melodies. The Starborn High Council's patience had run out. 5,000 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Earth's moon, their silver hulls gleaming in the sunlight. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in Starborn history. "The humans have corrupted our youth with their primitive sound rituals." The head council member's voice boomed across all channels. "We will end this threat today." On Earth's surface, in the United Defense Command Center, Captain Mark stood with military leaders from around the world. They watched as the massive alien fleet approached. They'd blocked all our usual communication channels. A general reported, "Our ships can't coordinate their defense." Mark smiled. "Then we'll use a different channel." He pressed a button on the command console. "This is Captain Mark to all Earth stations. Initialize Operation Global Chorus." Across the planet, massive speakers came to life in every city, every military base, every ship in orbit. The plan they had prepared for was now in motion. All stations reporting ready, Beth's voice came through. She was now Earth's chief communications officer. "Waiting for your signal, sir." In space, the starborn fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their sensors detected the strange energy readings from Earth, but couldn't identify the source. "Begin transmission," Mark ordered. "Let them hear Earth's voice." It started with a low hum. Millions of human voices joined together, their song carried into space through powerful transmitters. Every country, every culture added their own traditional battle songs to the mix. The result was unlike anything ever heard before, a planet singing as one. In the starborn fleet, the effect was immediate. Their sensitive audio receptors, designed to pick up the slightest sound in space, were overwhelmed by the massive chorus of human voices. "What is this?" the head council member demanded as their ship's systems began to malfunction. The sound was everywhere, affecting their neural interfaces, disrupting their carefully planned formations. That's when Earth's defense fleet struck. Led by the Thunder, now repaired and upgraded, hundreds of human ships emerged from behind the moon. Their crews sang in harmony with the planet below, adding their voices to the global chorus. "Their ships are losing formation," Jack reported from the Thunder sensors. "The sound is interfering with their neural networks." Mark watched as the massive starborn fleet began to break apart. Their perfect geometric patterns dissolved into chaos as the combined songs of humanity overwhelmed their sensitive systems. But not all the starborn ships were in disarray. A group of vessels, commanded by younger crew members who had secretly practiced resisting the effects of human music, maintained their positions. Leading them was Commander Vale's ship. "This is Commander Vale to Earth forces," their voice cut through the chorus. "Not all of us wish to fight. We have learned there is strength in what you call music." The head council member's voice crackled with rage. "Traitors. You have been corrupted by..." Their transmission cut off as more starborn ships began powering down their weapons. The human chorus grew stronger. Ancient war chants mixed with modern battle hymns, creating a wall of sound that protected Earth more effectively than any shield. The remaining hostile starborn ships tried to advance, but found their targeting systems useless, their crews unable to focus through the overwhelming symphony of human voices. "Look," Beth pointed to the tactical display. More starborn ships were breaking away from the main fleet, joining Vale's group. Many of them were crewed by younger starborn who had been secretly studying human songs. "All ships, press the advantage," Mark commanded. "But do not fire on those who stand down." The battle became a strange dance. Human ships moving in time to the planet's song, hostile starborn ships trying to fight through the sonic disruption, and rebel starborn vessels protecting Earth alongside their former enemies. Humanity had turned its greatest weakness into its strongest defense. A planet's worth of voices raised in song had accomplished what no weapon could. It had split the starborn fleet and shown them a different way of seeing the universe. 3 months after the Great Battle of Earth, the Grand Hall of the United Nations building in New York was filled with an unusual mix of beings. Humans and starborn sat together, their differences set aside in the name of peace. Captain Mark stood at the podium, looking out over the assembled crowd. Commander Vale stood beside him, their silver skin reflecting the warm lights of the hall. In the front row, Dr. Tom sat with the 3 young starborn, Dan, Alex, and Pat, who had first dared to explore human music. "Today," Mark began, his voice carrying through the hall, "we celebrate not just peace between our peoples, but understanding. What began as conflict has become a bridge between our cultures. Vale stepped forward, their tendrils moving gracefully as they spoke. The High Council believed that emotion made humans weak, that their songs were a sign of primitive behavior. They paused, looking at their young crew members. We were wrong. The hall was quiet as Vale continued. In trying to become purely logical, the Starborn lost something precious, our ability to connect, to feel, to grow. Watching humans sing in battle taught us that strength comes in many forms. Dr. Tom stood up next, walking to the podium with a datapad. Since the piece began, we've made amazing discoveries. The Starborn's ancient records show that their species once had rich musical traditions of their own. Today, we'll hear these songs again for the first time in centuries. At the back of the hall, a group of young Starborn stepped forward. They had been practicing for weeks under the guidance of human music teachers. Their tendrils began to vibrate in harmony, producing sounds that were both alien and beautiful. The song they created was unlike anything heard before on Earth. It told the story of their people's journey through the stars, of the time before the Great Logic Purge when they too celebrated life through music. Many older Starborn in the audience found their tendrils moving unconsciously to the rhythm, remembering something their species had long forgotten. Then human voices joined in. The Thunder's crew, led by Beth, began singing in harmony with the Starborn melody. The two very different styles of music wove together, creating something entirely new. "This is what we fought for," Mark said softly as the music filled the hall. "Not just survival, but growth. Not just peace, but understanding." In the audience, Jack watched as human and Starborn children played together, the young ones already learning each other's songs. The Starborn kids' tendrils wiggled as they tried to copy human singing, while human children attempted to make their voices vibrate like Starborn sounds. Commander Vale's voice carried over the music. "We came to Earth seeing humans as primitive. We leave seeing them as teachers. They showed us that logic and emotion, structure and song, can exist together." The combined choir reached the end of their song, the last notes echoing through the hall. But before the sound could fade completely, a new song began. This one was different. It had been composed together by humans and Starborn, combining both species' musical traditions into something unique. "This is just the beginning," Mark said, smiling as more voices joined the song. Already, Starborn scientists are studying how their ancient music could improve their technology. Human doctors are learning how Starborn sound vibrations can help heal injuries. The song swelled, filling the hall with hope for the future. What had started as a weapon had become a gift, a way for two very different species to understand each other. As the unified chorus of human and Starborn voices rose toward the ceiling, the last walls between the two species fell away. They had found something stronger than weapons, more powerful than logic, more lasting than war. They had found harmony. And in space, aboard countless ships and stations, humans and Starborn worked together, their songs traveling between the stars, carrying the promise of a future where different species could learn from each other, grow together, and find strength in their differences.